Welcome to Charred Oak, the business, bourbon, and becoming podcast where bold ideas meet smooth pours. Hosted by entrepreneurs Matt Gerard and Shane Theiss. This is your needed pour of inspiration, insight, and a splash of something strong. Each episode, Matt and Shane dive deep into the world of business, growth, and entrepreneurship, sharing real stories, practical strategies, and the mindset shifts that fuel success. Whether you're building your empire or just getting started, this is your space to learn, grow, and become. And of course, no episode is complete without the Bourbon of the Week, a curated tasting and review that pairs perfectly with ambition. So, pour a glass, pull up a seat, and let's build something great, one sip at a time.
And welcome, everybody. I'm Matt Gerard with Downrange Firearms.
I'm Shane Theiss with 926 Custom Embroidery.
All right, this is our first episode of Charred Oak BBB. We're going to start off with basic intros, tell you a little bit about ourselves, the stuff we're interested in, the things we're talking about, that we're seeing, and then as we kind of progress from there, we'll see how this episode takes us, and then our next episode, it'll get very interesting, because then we'll start bringing some other guests into play. So, Shane, why don't you start off? Tell us a little bit about your business.
All right, I'm Shane Theiss. I am the co-owner of 926 Custom Embroidery with my lovely wife, Dana. And we've been in business since 2017 here in Rochelle. I'm sure many of you have seen us in one of our 3 locations downtown. So we've pretty much occupied the whole 400 block of Lincoln Highway.
Well, there's only 5 business openings to be in, and you've been in 3 of them.
So, but yeah, we specialize in custom apparel, and we do some signage and dabble in a little bit of everything.
Solid. I am the owner of Downrange Firearms. I am the local neighborhood arms dealer for the city of Rochelle. That's what I'm here for. Past life, I did law enforcement full time. Now I've kind of transitioned into the firearms, the tactics, the retail, the training, and all the kind of the mixed bag that goes into that. Right now I'm over on 303 Cherry Avenue. That's hopefully changing at some point in the relatively near future, because it's me and a tow truck and a very nice grocery store. Small grocery store, but a nice grocery store. So that's kind of where I'm at. I've been teaching for, 2013. The store's been open for 3 years, I think. 2022 is when I opened my doors. Honestly, I can't keep track of it because it all just kind of blurs into one thing, because I'm there every day now. It's kind of where I'm at this point. So, yeah, that's the quick and dirty SparkNote version of it. So, with that saying, we'll get into more of that here in a second. But Shane mixed the drinks while I was cleaning up the room. So, what did you make me?
We are a Jefferson Reserve Old Fashioned.
Ooh.
Yes, quite tasty.
I do love Jefferson, and we're representing the appropriate glasses. If you can't see the lovely Downrange glassware, I'm going to start tattooing that on everything that we bring in here.
So, Matt, what are we doing on this podcast? What are we looking for?
I have no idea. I'm winging this. There's a dry erase board with 7 things written on it. We're going to see if we touch 1, 2, or any of them going forward. So
we've touched 1 so far. Well, 2, the drinking.
We got the drinking. The drink is important, and if you see random cutaways, it's because we want to be alcoholics when we grow up, and we need to refill the glasses. No judgments. It is a bourbon podcast. Business histories. All right, so how long? I know you said roughly how long you've been doing this, but when did this start, the whole embroidery thing? And
So 2016, our business partners, we were looking to go into business, and actually the plan was a wine bar in Rochelle. And it's not out of the woods.
It's never too late.
Never too late.
It's never too late.
So we were traveling around, exploring wine bars, getting ideas. We had our business, legal and everything.
As opposed to black market embroidery.
Yeah. And then once we got into it, we realized that, at that time, wine bar was not what we needed. So we kind of tossed around some other ideas and landed on the embroidery shop, which was what our business partners were previously doing. And, we went and picked up a bunch of equipment, and here we are.
Got it. So you said your business partners were already doing the embroidery thing.
They had previously owned an embroidery shop in town several years prior. I mean, they had been out of it for, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years, something like that. I don't know the exact time frame. So they were, they had some experience in it, so the transition was a lot easier. We didn't have to, we weren't reinventing the wheel by any means.
That's how I run my business. That's exactly how I run mine. Okay, so you buttoned up with those guys. Did they bring any equipment to
Nope.
that, or you started all over with a fresh business, but a couple of people with a little experience?
Yep,
with the belts?
we rented 405 Lincoln Highway, where the tanning salon was. That was our first spot.
That's right.
And then we started from scratch, with one embroidery machine, one vinyl cutter, and a direct-to-garment printer. And then we expanded from there to 2 embroidery machines and 3 embroidery machines. And then up until 2 weeks ago, we were still running the same vinyl cutter. And it finally died. So I think I'm going to hang it on the wall.
I bought one of those 32-inch, the Chinese ones off of Amazon, the vinyl cutter. I mean, it works. The software's garbage for it. But, yeah, I do not make my own T-shirts. I make them do it for me because I don't have that desire and I'm not good at it.
No. So it's, it's progressed from 405. Then we went to the mall. When the building was sold, we went to the mall for a little less than a year. And then the building we're in now was available, and we worked a deal and finished building that out. It was starting out, that was going to be a slot bar. Make sure we're clear on slot bar. And with an apartment in the back. So we gutted the apartment and then turned that into more, production space, and then finished building, drywalling, insulating. It was just a shell of a building, and that's where we're at.
Okay, so with your equipment, because you mentioned you added equipment. So when you initially started, did you guys go right into the gate and say, all right, we're getting good quality equipment, forget the cheap stuff, or did you start with, this is good enough for right now to minimize your initial expenses, or did you say, hey, it's not worth it, buy the right stuff, buy once, cry once, and just hit the ground running with like better quality gear?
We went with the best available product at the time.
Oh, okay.
We didn't skimp on the embroidery machine. We didn't skimp on the direct-to-garment printer. Our vinyl cutter, obviously a vinyl cutter is a vinyl cutter. Like you said, it's very important for software. We went to a trade show in Chicago, talked to a few vendors, found a vinyl cutter that we thought would meet our needs, because we weren't sure. We didn't know if the vinyl market was going to be where we wanted to be or needed to be. We didn't know if the direct-to-garment, was going to be where we wanted or needed, but we knew if we cheaped out on those parts, it was going to affect the quality of the product. So we really went above and beyond with what we probably could have started with. But 8 years later, we're still here, and the equipment served its purpose. It put out a quality product, and we continue to put out a quality product. Our products have actually gotten better since we started. Obviously once we learned the process and the tricks, and with our direct-to-garment printer, it's all about ink balance and speed, and how the type of garment that we're using, and the embroidery machines are the same way. There's some threads that we could buy cheaper, but you have more thread breaks and you have more issues with those threads. So we definitely try to stay, if not at the top of the quality game, right near the top.
Gotcha. Yeah, because this is an original 926.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, this was from way, way, way back in the day.
Yep.
So was that something that everybody just said right out of the gate, let's get good equipment right out of the gate? Or was that something that, like, your partner said, hey, we've done this, don't screw with the cheap stuff? Or was that just, hey, I don't want to screw around with garbage later, I'm serious about this, and I'm going to go full court press, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was, doing some research, obviously visiting trade shows, seeing what the manufacturers were offering. They came from a different brand of embroidery machine. So that the direct-to-garment printer was completely new to all of us. That wasn't anything that any of us had dabbled in before. So we went with, the recommendation, obviously, of, the vendor.
Yeah.
Who obviously they're going to want to sell you their product. But
were they right?
The feature, yeah, they were absolutely right. For the time, they were absolutely right. The product that we have now, the equipment that we have now, will run laps around our original product. I mean, it's so much better. The quality of the print is better. The ink usage is better. The waste is less. So basically the bottom line is better for us. We're giving our customer a better product, and we're saving money in producing that product.
Yeah, better margins, because I know the margins get, especially early on, those margins get awful freaking narrow.
Yep.
And it doesn't, when you save a little money, it doesn't always translate instantaneously into, oh, I can slash my prices. It turns into, oh no, I can actually pay myself this month.
Exactly. Well, and if you know Dana, she doesn't put out a bad product.
No.
She is very particular in what she does, and if it's not good enough for her, she's not putting it out. So it was a big learning curve with our equipment, and we wasted a lot of shirts and dumpstered a lot of shirts because it wasn't good enough.
Then I guess cash purchase, financed everything, financed some stuff. How did you guys get the ball rolling on that one, especially with partners on board, because that complicates how the finances work?
Yeah, we started with a little bit of cash. We both combined. We combined some resources, and that basically took care of, getting our building, getting, the basic equipment needs, some inventory products. But as far as like our equipment goes, we financed everything. Thankfully we hit the ground running, and we're really supported by the community. So we were able to, pay back those loans and those, financing options relatively quick. And obviously, once we build some rapport with these finance companies, it's a matter of saying, hey, we need X amount for another machine. And they're like, yeah, here you go. So, but yeah, it was all finance. I mean, no shame in my game. We had to start somehow. So, it's not a bad option, and we were taken care of, and we had one vendor or one finance company that, in hindsight, we probably would have done it differently.
Yeah.
They served the purpose, but they were just difficult to work with.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because two things I've noticed with financing anything business-wise that I've kind of picked up was, one, like you touched on it there for a second, is once you build those initial relationships, they treat you very, very, very well.
Yes.
And the questions get much more, there's less questions.
Yep.
Because they trust the history. Because
Yep.
it's like the first time you buy a house, I need, 6 years of tax records and all this other stuff. And when you get into doing this a little bit longer, on the business side, now with houses, a different animal, obviously. But I've noticed they're a lot more comfortable. Like, okay, what do you need? Hold on, give me a quick balance sheet. Yep, you're good. We can approve that. And a lot of times, and if you've had a recent balance sheet and they said, oh yeah, I need an additional line of credit for X, Y, and Z, a lot of times they don't even blank. They just go, nope, you've got the history. We trust your abilities and judgment. We're good to go. They obviously do their due diligence, but they can do that based on what they have.
Yep.
The other thing I've noticed with the line of credit thing is I've seen a lot of guys try to start businesses, especially in the creative service side, kind of like where you guys are at, especially, and they want to say, I want to pay cash for anything. I don't want to own anything. I don't want to need debt in anything. Problem is, one of those machines costs you a small fortune. If you don't have the cash on hand, you've only got one piece of equipment that's making you money, and you have to pay back the machine before you're ahead of anything. And the best way to look at it is to, and Dave Ramsey, if you're watching, and we all know you're not,
Yeah.
you're going to yell at me for this one. Cash flow is king in this business. In any business, cash flow is king. And if you can finance it at, say, if it's a $15,000 machine, but you can finance it for $250 a month, you're cash flowing the minute you make 251. That dollar is yours and everything beyond it. But if you pay that 15 grand for that machine right up front, you are 100% behind the 8 ball. You have no resources, you have no expansion potential, nothing. And now, if you have a slow month, $250 is not the end of the world to make. That's very, very much doable. And a lot of this equipment really is that reasonably affordable. If you want to start a business, it's a great option, but you have to have the stones to do it and the commitment to doing it. Because if you think you're going to get wishy-washy, that's where you get burned, because then you're stuck making payments for the next 60 years on 3 different pieces of large equipment that you're kind of messing with.
Yeah, we were fortunate where we, obviously we started outside of the community. So with our financing, we went, kind of what was online, or, I don't even know that they're online, but, they're commercial lenders, basically. So they didn't have any local ties to Rochelle. They didn't have any local ties to our business. So you're dealing with somebody, in New York or wherever they were. Once we really got established after, I would say, 2 years of being in business and, really growing and really starting to make a name for ourselves in the community, it made it that much easier to go to the local banks, to go to, work with the local companies and say, hey, this is what we want to do. What do we need to do? What do you need from us? What do we need to show you? What do we need to prove to you to do it? And, we're very lucky to partner with Holcomb Bank right now. And they've done, our buildings, they've done our latest equipment, they've done everything. They get it, so we've been fortunate to work with them. And now with, the transition of, our next step of Dana and I becoming sole owners of the business, we're working very close with them as well in that process. And it's been easy because we're established. We just go in and say, hey, this is what we're intending to do. This is our idea. And it opens up so many options, for whether it be equipment purchases or our building, refinancing the building or whatever it is that we need to do. Having those local relationships are so important.
Okay, this is super interesting for me, because this is not the route I took for like most of mine. I did get some local loans for my initial inventory purchase. That was an adventure in and of itself. So I guess this would be my first question with this, because I've got like 12 now. So like you said, you initially financed outside of locality. Was that, in hindsight, is that something you would have been able to do as a new business locally, or is that something you kind of already needed to have a little bit of a business functioning history before you could go local? And I haven't had those conversations with any of the local banks. I don't know what their small business interactions are.
I think, it all depends on your personal history. Because obviously with the business, the key things they're looking at, your balance sheet, your personal finances, your ability to repay the loans, your ability to support the financing if the business is struggling. We've been very fortunate to where ever since our initial investment in the building or in the business, we've put no out-of-pocket money into it. We've been, and I have no shame in my game of sharing that. Get out of there, fly.
Yeah,
That's mine.
He's bugging the snot out of me too. Yeah, he's drunk as a skunk, is what he is.
But back to your question, I think it's important to have some type of establishment going. You're not going to go into the bank, any local bank, and say, I need $100,000 or I need $150,000 and then just write you a check.
Right.
You're going to have to prove to them that you've got 1, capital, 2, assets, and 3, an established business that's going to be able to support that. But at the same time, too, once you do get that established, then you're in the game, and it just makes it that much easier going forward. If you want to expand or you want to open another business, or now you've got the established relationships, and maybe that's a future guest. Maybe we bring in the
that would be
bank,
awesome. Getting a small business or a commercial lender
Yeah.
from one of the banks would be awesome to do.
Yep. Yeah, just to talk about that.
Yeah, because I know, like, equipment-wise, because me and Mark like tinkering, and we've been kicking around the idea of doing a small, like a prototyping or fabrication kind of a thing. So we look at CNCs. I don't know if it's going to happen. He works full-time. I obviously have a little bit on my plate. But we've been looking at that, and most of these organizations, especially for equipment on that side, all self-finance. And like the restrictions of how much you have to provide are actually really very reasonable. It's usually an online form, very easy to do. Probably not the best rates in the world, but if you're just getting your foot in the door, the rate doesn't mean a ton. And in theory, you can always get a line of credit once you have an established business, and then wipe that slate clean, dump everything into one bigger pool of a line of credit, and then just pay off of that
Yep.
instead.
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually super interesting because I haven't. Because I got an initial line of credit from a bank that I have had a bunch of history with. Same thing. It was 100% based on relationships. I went to one local guy and he was like, "We don't know anything about you. No, we're not.
Right.
We're not going to do this." And in the firearms side of stuff, it complicates that. He said, "What are you going to buy this for? Inventory." Well, normally we would say yes for an inventory purchase, especially if you keep the dollar amount low enough. They're like, "But I'm not coming in and seizing a bunch of guns. Our bank doesn't want anything to do with that." I'm like, that's not unreasonable. So so this is going to be a zero collateral line of credit. And I'm like, I understand the concern with that. I totally get that. That was a very fair concern when I ran into that one. But with that's actually super interesting. But once you do get established, they know the name, they know the business.
Yep.
Like you said, you have a straightforward balance sheet. God bless QuickBooks. That kind of helps more than a little bit for it. So
Yeah, for sure. And with us, I mean, having been in business going on 9 years now, learning the ins and outs of the QuickBooks side. I mean, we don't use QuickBooks directly. We did when we started. We actually outsource all our
bookkeeping.
Yeah, and it makes it so much easier. Because, at the end of the month, they call us, they say, "Hey, what's this charge for? Or what's that charge for?" And then we just reconcile, and then, they take care of all the tax. They take care of all the, our payroll. I mean, all that is, outsourced. So it makes it easier for us because it frees up time, obviously for us to produce product, or go to trade shows or, whatever we're into at the moment. But, obviously there's costs associated with that, so it's not going to work for everybody. It works for us. I don't know that there's any plans in the near future to change that, but it definitely does have some advantages.
Yeah, the first thing I did was outsource payroll. I didn't want anything to do with it. I'm still doing my own books on QuickBooks. I'm not good at it, and I'll talk about this later on a little bit more. The finance side is definitely one of my weaker portions of it. The lights are still on after 3 years, though. And a year and a half ago, I stopped putting personal money into the business, so it is completely 100% self-sustaining now. So same thing. That was a happy day. So yeah, that's kind of that. That's kind of an interesting component. But I definitely like the concept. And every class I've taken, small business related, says if you hate doing it or you're not good at it, outsource it. You can only learn so much. And do you want to be an expert at the service you're providing, or do you want to become the quote unquote semi-expert on all of these other subject matters? And I don't care about the financial side.
Right.
I mean, I do. Obviously, I'm the bottom line I care very much about, but I don't care about the itemization, the tax portion of it. I'd rather ship that out. I'm probably going to switch to having somebody else handle my bookkeeping in the next, probably, if not by the end of this year, probably early next year, just because I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
I don't enjoy doing it.
No, it's a lot of time.
It is.
It's a lot of time. I spend all day in front of the computer. The last thing I want to do is go to the shop and spend 4 hours, balancing.
Yeah, you're going through your QuickBooks going, I have no idea what this is.
Nope.
Hold on, let me pull up my bank statement, and
Yep.
I've got a credit card, I've got bank accounts with 2 different banks. And it turns into hours and hours of everything. Every Monday morning, first thing I go in the shop is, all right, let's do the line items of everything.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add about your business's history?
No, not that I can think of. Not off the top of my head. But what about you? How'd you get started, and what was the thought process behind Downrange Museum?
Yeah, the Downrange Natural History Museum. This isn't Facebook. I think we can say firearm without having to worry about getting banned. I hope. We definitely need to talk about that later. Super, super important. We should have had a section on this for marketing. We might need to add that on here.
Yeah.
All right, so I was a cop for 15 years, full-time. I'm back part-time. I got into the firearms instruction within the department fairly quickly. Within the first year or two, I started volunteering on the range, et cetera. Then they legalized concealed carry, and I'm like, okay, this is a good opportunity. I'm a certified instructor with the police department. I've been working with the officers that we had at the time. All right, it's time to let's see if I can turn this into something. So I started with concealed carry. That was hellaciously slow. This was way back when they still let me use the police department range downstairs. So I was doing all my classes for the first 4 or 5 years at the police department, which was nice. Maybe even longer than that. Maybe it was like 8 years. Getting off the ground was awful. I didn't know anything about marketing or networking or how to get my name out there. I was having classes with like 3 people in them, 2 people in them. For those who aren't familiar with the CCL program, it's a 16-hour, 2-day monstrosity of a class. And I'm charging, at the time I was charging like $100 or $150. So for 16 hours, not including prep time before, after, and the paper chase portion of it, I was making like $200 for the whole weekend. Not exactly a sound financial investment. I would have been making more money at McDonald's for that first chunk. But it started to take off. We started getting a little bit more traction. People didn't know me in the community back then because it was still fairly new to the PD. I was big into the community policing. I don't know. One fly has been in here, and he's just chasing both of us. Now it's less of an issue, especially for the CCO classes. But getting my name out there and figuring all that out took forever. Then that started to gain a little bit of traction, and then I started to expand from just that concealed carry to handgun classes, and then turned into rifle classes, and then later on in my career I got into the sniper world, and that kind of expanded and blew up, and then I started teaching a sniper school in the area. That's been a labor of love, but a lot of fun. And then 3 years ago, 3.5, 2025, we started in 2022. Yeah, almost 4 years ago now. I decided I wanted the teaching side to go. I wanted to transition to doing that and make that a job that could be very foreseeably a full-time commitment to me. Single bachelor, I'm like, I'm selling my house. I'm going to move into a cheap apartment somewhere, which is exactly what I did. And I was going to use those resources for getting my range taken care of, or better equipment, more training for more certifications for myself, whatever. I was going to reinvest that into that to see where I could go with it. And I think 10 minutes after I sold my house, my realtor posted on her Facebook page the building that I'm in now, 303, which was a vacant storefront as it is, and 2 apartments that were already occupied and generating revenue. I'm like, well, this is just Providence. Put in an offer. They countered. We agreed on it 2 days after that. So I sold my house. A week later, I bought that building because I swore years ago I would never open a gun shop. Never going to open a gun shop. Morally, I hate gun shops. I genuinely do. 95% of them are just derp. There are a few good ones out here. There's a couple of good ones in the area, in fact. There's also some bad ones in the area, too, where, you get the derpiest, this is what they taught us in 1926. Well, things have changed since 1926, guys, here. They guys walking into gun shops and then with their wives and their girlfriends or women on their own. And the first thing they go is, oh, I've got a gun for you. And they pull out a pink .22 caliber revolver and you go, this is stupid. The education's not there. And there's a huge distinction between guys who sell firearms and guys in the training community. I wanted to take it as the firearm sales was going to be an add-on to the training component of it. Education first. I've always kind of harped on education first, and then the technology will follow. Because I can be a great shooter, pick up any gun and be awesome. If I'm good with one gun in one situation, in one environment, that doesn't do me any good. So I was big on harping on the tactics, the skills, and way less on the gear. So when I finally said, you know what, we're gonna build the gun shop I would want to spend time in, it focuses on the education side, and then it pushes, hey, what are you gonna do with it? That's the first question we ask everybody is, what's this gun, firearm, piece of equipment that you're looking for? What is its specific purpose that you want to do and you want to engage? Once we establish that, then we start shopping for an actual firearm, because I'm going to pick the firearm that's going to suit your specific needs as opposed to, what I think somebody should have, period. That same woman comes in, if she's 95 pounds, 5'0", walks in and says, I need a self-defense firearm, I'm not going to hand her the pink, crappy, or that as well. I'm not going to give the muzzle film crack, heavy recoiling semi-auto. That's not going to be in there. I'm not going to give her the cheap 22 pink revolver. I'm going to say, all right, why don't we find you the gun you want? If the color question comes up, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There's a lot of women that walk in going, no, I want a black one. I want one that looks freaking like I'm going to shoot you in the face with it, because it's a self-defense firearm. I don't want somebody to attack me, pull my gun out, and have them laugh at me. Mm-hmm. And I get that. Of course, they stop laughing when you start shooting. Different conversation. But that was a big tier of it. So we did that. The initial store, I don't know if you ever went into the shop when we first opened. Mm-mm. Oh, my God, it was terrible. Talk about doing it on the cheap. Plastic, 8-foot folding tables. I did splurge for the Amazon tablecloths. Nice. So very, very classy. Nice. It was just whitewashed walls. Oh, it was so bad. I built my own displays that were just absolutely hideous. Pegboard everywhere. Oh, it was awful. I tried to get all chic farmhouse, and I got the little crates, and I'm flipping them up and using them for displays, and I can't swing that. I don't have basic white girl, chic farmhouse ability to decorate. It was just the ugliest store you've ever seen in your life. Time progressed. We started making a little more money. We got. I learned a bunch of very hard lessons as we kind of progressed. One of them was inventory. Whenever I had extra cash, I'd buy more inventory and I'd add more inventory. We're a small store. If you set foot in there, all the racks combined, I think we only have, what is it? 32 slots on the wall that we can expand. Yeah, 32 slots that are expandable to maybe 40. I only use 16 pistols and 12 rifle slots. So the reality is we're only using 28. I had 60 different guns in inventory at one point, and I'm sitting there going, my cash is just tied up. Because a lot of that was bought off on the line of credit, and we're a small town. The money is not in. It's just not in retail sales. Anybody who's done a retail store that's buying out of a catalog or from a store or from a brand, it was going to tell you the same thing. Retail sucks because Amazon has everything you could ever want. Firearms is a little different, but they're still, Bud's Gun Shop, Gun Broker, whatever. And these guys, because they don't sell, 3 guns a day. They sell 300 of a particular make and model every day. These guys buy guns by the pallet. I'm not competing with that. I can't do that. Our big emphasis was the education side. Oh, I want to buy X, Y, and Z gun. This fly and me are going to fight. I want to buy X, Y, and Z gun, and something that I'm very particular about with our business is I know the pedigree of everything on that shelf. If a gun is on my shelf, I can tell you the history of the company. I can tell you the manufacturer. I can tell you when they've had recalls, the problems that have popped up, the solutions that have popped up. If there are problems, are there workarounds, the accoutrements you can purchase for them. I can tell you about that for everything that I carry on my shelf. And when they come and go, oh man, I can get it online for like 60 or 70 bucks cheaper. I'm like, what do you know about it though? What do you mean? What do you know about it? There's no history. There's no, I don't know how it operates. When you get done with that, buying it off of Bud's gun shop and it shows up, you pick it up and you go home. Bud's is not going to teach you how to shoot it. Mm-hmm. If you walk in my store and say, I need a concealed carry handgun or I need a self-defense handgun at home, I don't know a lot about how to run them. We've done this numerous times with our clientele. We break out the plastic training rounds, so not live ammunition, and we'll teach them how to run the gun right there in the class. We'll give them the basic fundamentals, how to grip it, how to work with it, all that good jazz. Going online is not going to teach you that. Right. Yeah, there's a lot of YouTube videos that you can use for some self-education, but if you're looking at the video and you're putting it in your hands, you're going, am I doing this right? I hope your computer doesn't talk back. Right. Typically. Right. And to my knowledge, ChatGPT has not started teaching firearms tactics, so you're on your own from that one.
Thankfully.
Yeah, amen. And it's just kind of expanded from there. And now it's the law enforcement side has become a lot bigger deal, so we're doing a lot more law enforcement outfitting, and we're going to push that here going forward. But the training side has been a lot more huge. Our sniper school in the last couple of years has gotten very interesting. The couple years ago, what was it? St. Louis Metro. They've got a full-time SWAT and sniper team. They sent their guys up to take my basic sniper. I'm like, this is a full-time. This is like the NFL versus junior tackle. These are not the same world of people, generally speaking. I pride myself on being very professional, and I've had the pleasure of being on some very, very professional teams. But I'm a very part-time environment, and that is a very full-time thing. Two of their guys came, like, we don't care. We just need the certification. We need somebody to go through it. We're not worried about that. We're here for the certification. At the end of the week, they're like, this was not what we were expecting. We did not expect to come to Little Town Rochelle, find a sniper instructor with this level of knowledge, experience, knew how to shoot, knew the equipment, knew the tactics, knew other organizations' tactics. Because I've had the pleasure of training with like FBI and state police and Springfield PD, and I've had the pleasure of being able to train with a lot of really, really incredible teams. And I brought that to that class, and they're like, oh, this was fantastic. And I kept in touch with those guys, and they're like, our bosses have basically said, you're the new St. Louis Metro sniper team. If we have somebody that needs to get certified, they're all sending them to downrange. They're sending them through us. That's freaking cool. Mm-hmm. Last week I had one, and that was, this is Missouri. They're 6.5 hours away. I'm like, there's nothing in Missouri that, especially in St. Louis, that's available. Then our last class that we had two more teams from two different cities in Missouri, setting guys up. They're like, hey, is there any chance you can get this certified in Missouri? I'm like, I have no idea. You're in Illinois. I don't know if that's even a thing that you can do. Fun fact, you can. Fun fact, you can. I had a lot of struggles with Illinois. They wouldn't certify my program. Finally did. Like a week ago, they finally approved it. I started that process 3.5 years ago. Illinois, take note. You suck at life. The government. Lots of good people, lots of good environments. But no. That was been a nightmare. But I sent it to, it was funny. Last year I got done with the class. The next week I'm like, let's give this a shot. I called them. Here's the application. Go ahead and fill it out. I told them the situation, like, just fill it out. Submitted it. 3 weeks later I got a call. I'm like, hey, we're looking at the application right now. Just wanted to let you know that the process started. 10 minutes later, they approved it. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Awesome. A week ago, I got a call from a guy. He's out in Pennsylvania. He's like, hey, they asked me to task me with starting a brand new program. Your name came up. I want to go train with you. Freaking cool. Yeah, come on out. And if you got enough guys that are interested and there's nobody in Pennsylvania teaching this, maybe there isn't. I don't know. I'll come travel. Right. I've got a buddy in Kauai, Hawaii. I met him through, because I've gone to a couple of different sniper schools in Honolulu with their team. Full-time team, amazing team. Their sniper schools are incredible just because they train with all the military sniper resources that are there on Oahu, on Honolulu. And they've got the unique exposure of, they have every branch of military service in one place. And that's not true on any other base in the world. So we have Delta snipers, some of the craziest pedigrees ever are out there that have helped these guys, train with these guys, and kind of influence their program. And I got to working with them. And my buddy from Kauai, we've been chatting for a while about this. They're like, hey, our problem is, it sounds funny, for us to go to Hawaii today for a vacation is expensive as balls. It just is. Fun fact, it's just as expensive to go island to island if you are in Hawaii. The problem is they don't have cheap hotels. Like if Missouri comes up here, the Super 8's what, $86 a night?
Yeah.
So in a pinch, you can kind of put that one together. And they can drive, so you don't have to worry about shipping rifles and ammo and cases, because sniper school, my basic sniper school is 400 rounds. The 2-week version of it is like 900 rounds. So you're talking hundreds of pounds of gear, getting that on an airplane. They're like, they need their whole team certified. They're like, we want to bring you out. I've trained with you before. I know your stuff. We've been friends a long time. We want to bring you out to do it. I need to go through it again. They will not send us to the main island because we just can't afford 2 weeks of doing that. Because part of the problem is Kauai. You'd think it's a freaking state. Kauai is a big department. They're like, no, we are so shorthanded here too. We can't take the weekend off. So we're going to do a 2-week sniper school. So Monday through Friday, we're going to go back and work the road Saturday and Sunday, and then do 5 more days of sniper school, and then Saturday and Sunday we're back on the road. So it's going to be a 2-week sprint for all of the guys that are on this team. Like, we can't afford to fly everybody to Honolulu, $250 a night minimum for hotels because it's Honolulu. We can't afford 2 airline tickets back and forth, all of the equipment. What do you do with your equipment when it's there? Because you can't leave. We're maybe, hopefully, I'm sure Honolulu would have let them store their stuff in their lock boxes and stuff, but they're like, we got to get our guys back and forth, and it's going to cost us $25,000 or $30,000 for these 6 dudes to go for 2 weeks of training. We'd rather pay you, and it would be half or 2/3 of that number, but we'd rather do that.
Right.
I'm like, that's fantastic. So I've got, another major team literally in the middle of the Pacific that's saying, hey, we want to fly you out here and teach sniper tactics. Cool. The business is apparently getting some traction. That's been very, very cool. Yeah. Now the storefront, 3 years ago, obviously I started the storefront. A year after that, I left the police department full time and to do this full time. And now it's just the navigating the struggles associated with owning a small retail business in a small community. I've gotten the pleasure of doing a ton of stuff with payroll and multiple employees. At the peak, I had 6 different employees. Right now, I'm down to 3 employees. We're about to hire a 4th and 5th, 2 part-timers. So they're only going to work a couple hours a week. It's just to kind of pad the hours a little bit. The nice thing is the debt's going in the right direction. Spent the first couple years, even with everybody on payroll, the debt's only been in one direction. The line of credit got paid off. There's 1 credit card left. That's the debt I have debt left on, and that goes down every month. That's been really nice. Still barely paying myself, if I'm paying myself at this point, but as long as the debt's going the right direction, as soon as this is done, that means every dollar of interest and debt payment will be mine to take care of.
Yeah.
So I still work part-time and do some other stuff on the side, but it's heading in the right direction that, I feel good about being able to do that. And so, yeah, I think that was a very long-winded history of everything that I've gotten my nose into in the last couple of years. So,
well, let's talk about that. You touched on some challenges that you faced. I think as business owners, and we'll do a whole episode on challenges because they're endless. But you look at where we're at. We're in a small town.
Oh yeah.
We to bring a gun shop into a small town, not an easy thing. Talk to Matt Stetter. Not an easy thing to bring a tattoo shop into a small town. Apparently, it's really easy to bring gambling machines into a small town, but that's another topic. But what are the challenges, like when you were getting into it? What were some of the initial challenges that you were facing when you approached the city and said, "I want to do this"? What was the initial reaction, and what was the response?
I was actually surprised how positive a reaction I got. The immediate response was, "Oh, absolutely, that would be great. That'll do great in Rochelle." Okay, fantastic. That's what I want to hear. And the city was actually super supportive from the word go. It helps that, at that point I'd been with the city for 15 years and they knew me in particular, so that helps a ton. Sure. But then, when I had to get my building inspections done and my fire inspections done, they're like, hey, this is, and I get the impression that this is pretty common for most people that do businesses in town, but it was a super calm experience. They came in, hey, this is what we're looking for, this is what we should expect, this is what we need. First time through, hey, you're missing this, get this done, call these people, these will help you out with this, they can answer your questions. No, from the word go, was very, very supportive. And this is not necessarily a knock on the city, but this is just, I think this is welcome to what starting a business when you've never done it before is. There is not a big roadmap of what steps you're supposed to take. Right. Fire code and building department were great because they walked in and said, hey, here is the checklist of what you need to have. But I also know people that'll, I know that it would have been very easy if I didn't know these guys on a first name basis and be like, send a text like, hey, what do I need to do? Let me come over and walk you through what you need to do before you get into it. I could see people doing full build outs, renting a space saying, we're going to do it. I'm going to start my business doing a full build out, and then not knowing about fire extinguishers and exit signs, and then going, well, crap, now I got to call an electrician, install exit signs where they need to go, or there's a problem with fire exits or I don't have extinguishers. Electrician can't get here for 3 weeks because that's the sign of the times. Great. I can't open my doors and get occupancy until I do all this stuff. That doesn't exist. I don't know anywhere where that exists, truth told. Maybe other towns do that differently, but any questions I did have, they were super, super great about asking or directing me to the right people. But a lot of that process that just wasn't, that's not, there is no scorecard of this is step one, this is step two, this is what you need to do. And like we were talking about the finance stuff earlier, there is no roadmap as to who will lend you money. And I don't know what SBA resources we really have in town. I don't know if we have any SBA resources, to be totally honest with you. Right. I know years and years and years ago, SBA used to come to the city hall and do like a presentation almost every week or have a meeting every week for people that needed resources or questions. But I know the chamber has some resources with SBA out of Kish, but I don't know what that extends. I don't even know what the rules are for like SBA loans. So none of that was all kind of alien to me. The other stuff with downrange specific was all like Fed regulation stuff, figuring out how that worked without, trying to avoid going to prison, because everything involving this business can put you in jail. Sure. So, but from the basic city stuff, they were actually really good. I think they were also pretty thrilled that we had one less vacant storefront, even if it wasn't on downtown proper, like on the main drag. At least I was downtown, and there was one less empty building and one additional, tax base. Even though we're not $1 million business by any stretch, but there's another resource that's in town to make your town look a little more alive and a little more of a draw to bring people around and stuff like that. So they were stoked about all of that from the word go. It was actually really pleasant.
You had touched on inventory and how every extra dollar that you got, you were, dumping into inventory. I find that interesting because in our business, it's a double-edged sword. We want to have product, so the Thursday afternoon when mom comes in and says Johnny's playing football, he's starting his first game tomorrow, I need a Hub t-shirt. We want to have that inventory, but at the same time, for us, if we print a shirt, our saleability, if you will, of that shirt becomes 1% of what it was if we left it blank. So, for us to have inventory is great. For us to have printed inventory is horrible. So we are more on a custom road, if you would, where your industry is more, this is what they are and this is what you're getting. You're not getting a, purple gun stock. You're getting what comes in the box. And, that for us is a big challenge with getting the right product at the right time, for the right price. I mean, it took us a long time to learn that. It was, we were kind of in the same boat. When we started, it was, Okay, we want to have a little bit of a retail shop that people can come into and they can peruse around and they can pick stuff off the shelf. And yes, we still do that. And yes, it's still successful. But what we found is our biggest point of sale is the mom that comes in and she's, you know, on the cheer squad, you know, she's the cheer mom or whatever. And
Bobby's number one.
yes,
cheer mom.
yes. Or, you know, the Friday night football games, when we go to the football games and we make, you know, 25 hub shirts in various colors and sizes. And, you know, people are coming into the tent and they're looking that way. For us to have a product guide like, you know, some of the other businesses in town like Auden, you know, they are more of a boutique.
Mm-hmm.
We are so far from a boutique that we wouldn't even know how to dive into that realm, and we stay in our lane. And, you know, we got some stuff, but we don't pursue it. You know, it's just something else. Oh, this is cute. I'm going to take this too.
Yeah.
Type thing. So, you know, I assume in the gun shop it's, you know, oh, I bought this gun. Now I need the case. Now I need the, you know, the cleaner or whatever it is.
Accessorizing is important.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and the other big thing I got into with inventory was, especially early on, I was stupid. I'm like, oh, I need to have multiples of firearms. Because, somebody I might have 3 different people that want to buy Glock 19 tomorrow. Not as big as an issue in Rochelle as you might think. Don't get me wrong. I have sold multiples of guns in a single week before, even occasionally on a day. But the nice thing about the firearms industry and the nature of how they have to be shipped, everything's there within 2 days. Like, if I order it on Friday, it'll probably be there Monday, maybe Tuesday at the latest. Some stuff is literally next day. If I order it by noon, it's there the next day. But most stuff it's like a 2-day turnaround from like Texas, from our biggest distributors out of Texas. It's like a 2-day turnaround. So for a lot of stuff, and there's a 72-hour wait anyway. And the nice thing with how the reg works is basically, you know, it's a 72-hour wait, and that 72 hours starts when I have a serial number. A couple of those distributors give me the serial number of exactly what's coming to me because of how their point of sale works. So cool. Sure. Give me your FOID card. This gets run as soon as I have that serial number, and then when it shows up, we just confirm everything matches, and awesome, you can take it home when the 72 hours is elapsed. You got to wait anyway, so it's kind of, why am I keeping all of this cash tied up on repetitions of stuff when I just don't sell repetitions? My one counter argument is you never get a truly new in-box firearm from us. Everything is on display. You take home the display. You take home the display. They're not fired. They're not used, but they're also not like pristine and clean. People have been touching them because they picked them up, looked at them, you know. Nothing you're not going to do in your home. It's a slightly different kind of experience than if you go to like Dick's Sporting Goods.
Right.
Yeah, you're not going to get, hey, yeah, this is the display model. We don't have the overhead to have display models. The exception being if it's a gun that we decide that we use for classes or demos or stuff like that. We'll have a display model because we'll take them to the range and let people shoot them. In that case, yeah, we'll keep a display model, and then we'll just have the box one will be a truly boxed, nobody touches it, et cetera version of it. That took a lot to wrap my head around for a couple of months. A lot of that inventory was tied up. Just be like, oh, Glock 19s are popular. I need to have 3 of those on the shelf. No, I don't.
Right.
That's stupid. Why am I doing? I don't need 3 KSGs or 2 19s or whatever. I'm just chewing up cash that could go to anything else. And the other thing that hurts, because I've gotten this question from a lot of people, is once a year at least, sometimes twice a year, you'll see me go through my inventory, and we will have some just stupid sales on firearms. I will sell them less than what I paid for them because they don't move. And cash tied up is not anything. No. It's not anything. If it takes me a year to get, and margins on firearms is so bad, it's anywhere from 5% to 20% on a good day. So we don't make a ton, and your regular overhead chews up a lot of that 20% really freaking quick. If I can sell that gun and buy something else, so our inventory is actually shrank to things that we know are popular sellers, and the only non-selling things that we like to keep is stuff that's cool looking. People want to look at it. They come in to see it because they see it in one of our Facebook videos or whatever. They're never going to buy it. Doesn't matter. I want them to put hands on it. That's so cool because they're going to see 2 guns down, something that's in their price range, in their mission parameters, and that they will buy. So we'll do stuff like that all the time. And then sometimes freakish stuff happens and they buy the expensive random showpiece. It's just kind of a bizarre experience.
So we're both business owners, or brick and mortar business owners. What's one of the biggest challenges you have with like the online market?
I can't compete with it. It's insane. Yeah. It's straight up. It's twofold. One is the pricing. I can't. Everything they do is cheaper. There are some companies out there that are not brick and mortar friendly to the point that their like MAP agreements and stuff like that, their minimum advertised prices and stuff like that is lower than my purchase price, my cost on it. So for me to make any money, you're looking at this going, this is $300 more than I can get it online. Yep, sure is. Wish it wasn't. We don't carry those brands. And we'll special order anything. If somebody comes in and says, hey, I want X, Y, and Z, can you get it? Sure can. It'll be here in a couple of days.
Right.
They're like, oh man, I can get it so much cheaper online. I know.
So how do you overcome the challenge?
Education helps. A lot of people, we've explained this to a lot of people. Like, hey, do you like coming, especially if they ask questions first, and most of them do. The big kicker that we kind of throw at them is, hey, I will get as close as I can, but I still do need to make a buck. I need to keep the lights on. But did you like the quality of service you got here? Oh, absolutely. Do you like being able to order something online that I can't get and being able to pick it up here? Oh, yeah, this is super convenient. I love that. Awesome. Do you like being able to come in and asking questions about the technology, the hardware? Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the extra $60. That's the extra $200.
Yep.
You're paying for that service that you can come in at any point and get very legitimate and experienced answers, because what you don't get by watching YouTube reviews, which 90% are paid for, you're getting somebody who comes from the training circuit, somebody who has used this stuff real world, whether it's in a training environment with high round counts in classes, or I've literally gone through houses and structures with some of this equipment. I can tell you what works, what doesn't work, and everything in between. If you like that, the only way that this stays is you got to be willing to pay a little bit more. Will I try to price match when I can? Absolutely, but the reality of it is, if you want to undercut me and think that I can survive on a 3%, 5% margin, we just won't survive. What also helps is the classes are great. If we didn't have classes, it would be very, very difficult to be successful, because the CCLs are huge. Our force on force with airsoft is huge. Those really kind of keep the business functioning, because it's not 100%. Profit, but it's close. It's a lot closer for sure. The margins are more in like the 75 to 80% realm, but those pay for everything. That's what covers, a lot of our. That's what covers a lot of our payroll during classes. That covers a lot of our, the insurances that come up, because we've got work comp, because work comp's a pain in the butt when you've got employees. All of your taxes and all that stuff. If I ever do take a paycheck, it's usually coming out of the training our training income, more than it's coming from the storefront income. As everything we do is expensive. Everything we do is regulated, and we just had another annual inspection from the state police the other day. Haven't had a federal one yet. That's huge. The other online challenge that we have is nobody likes firearms advertising.
Yeah.
Facebook's a pain in the butt. We touched on this. This is a good time to mention it. Because even saying that we sell guns, Facebook will kick posts, send us threatening notes, etc. What we've found is, since we switched this, it's a running joke. I had a customer who didn't know it was a joke. He came in the other day. It was funny. I explained it to him. We got a good laugh out of it. So now I do my intros. Every day I do a live stream, which I've noticed, and me and Dana have talked about this. I'm sure she's passed this on. The best exposure, if you're running a small business, that you want to get like immediate organic Facebook exposure for your business or your personal, is live videos. And I'm not even talking long period ones. A 10-second live video automatically goes to every single one, is visible to every one of your followers. They might not watch the video. It might not even come up on their feed, but it will come up on their stories page or whatever, because they get 3 notifications for every live video you do. I've never gotten less than like 900 or 1,000 views on every single video, just because it gets in front of everybody. Posts, pictures, text, video posts. Nothing consistently works better than those live streams. But they do have AI monitoring it, So if we go into it talking about gun sales right out of the gate, I will immediately get it deleted, and I will get the FU warning signal thingamajigger from that says your account's on probation, double secret probation, yada yada yada, all this other stuff. Since we switched to welcome to the Downrange Natural History Museum, I'll be your museum curator, Matt Gerard, and here is what we're talking about today. The AI filters seem to shut off around 30 seconds into the video, and we can talk about anything we want to. I have not had a video get called out, complained on, nothing. Few people have missed the joke and think that we're actually a natural history museum and are really confused and like, you don't sell guns anymore? We do. We still sell firearms. But now that's kind of been the best workaround, at least locally. But yeah, just the online thing, getting the word out is a pain. Google is very restrictive on what they'll let us do for paid advertisements. We're just starting it again. Just because last year when we did Sniper School, the Google ads and the online advertisement, the best thing we ever did was for our Sniper School. The shop doesn't really help a ton. It just doesn't. Yeah. But we got conversions for our Sniper School. That's how the Missouri guys found us, is they Googled us, and we were at the top. We're at the top of the listing within 6 states. Awesome, cool. We're the #1 Sniper School for it because of Google. That's been huge for it, but we're very limited on what we're allowed to do, say, etc. Yeah, so that's kind of been a huge. That's always been a huge challenge. Is how do we spread the word and let the world know that we exist, especially in a small town where communication is very social media driven. And you got to guess which resource that they're using today.
I think ours is the opposite of, obviously the online videos is huge. Our largest video to date is a 20-second video that I did of just printing a shirt on the direct-to-garment printer. And it's simple video, just overhead shot, the shirt going in, the shirt coming out, and it's somewhere around 15 or 20,000 views already. And I mean, obviously I haven't checked it in a long time, but
That's awesome.
For us, the social media is, so important because, we spend a lot of time at events. This summer, Dana and I expanded to water ski events. So we spent the summer at water ski tournaments. Pretty much every weekend, we loaded up the trailer, we took, inventory, and it turned out to be a very lucrative and very exciting niche for us to expand into, so that was great. But at the same time, there's kind of a double-edged sword to that because obviously our products are so personalized. Every time we go somewhere, somebody at home has a Cricut and somebody at home is making a shirt. And for me, I encourage that because, one, I think there's a market for that. We have the Spark Shop here in town, and you see it all day long. The stay-at-home mom is making a onesie or something, and she's putting a design on it, and she's selling it for $15 or whatever. More power to her.
Yep. 100%.
I think what people don't realize is the amount of time, the amount of effort, and the amount of work that goes into creating one shirt through a Cricut. And
oh, absolutely.
It's, for us to garment print a shirt, it takes us about 3 minutes. From the time we grab the shirt out of the box, throw it on the heat press, throw it in the printer, throw it back on the heat press, and put it on a hanger, it's about 3 minutes. For that person at home that's got their Cricut, they don't have the same type of heat press we have. The Cricut is a lot slower than our vinyl cutter.
If we're
using vinyl. And then they have the weeding aspect. And there is nothing I hate more in this world than weeding because it's so tedious and picking and one full, foul pull and you've ruined the whole design and now you're starting over. But, there's a huge market in that. And for us, that's a challenge because, we'll put out a design, somebody will take it and, make it their own, which more power to them. We're not copywriting anything, it's small business. But I don't know how many times we've had that person buy a shirt from a mom or, a small little pop-up shop, and then they bring the shirt in to us and go, I really like this shirt, but I would like to do this. Well, now we've created a new avenue because, hey, go make that shirt because we're going to make it better, you know?
Right.
And it's not a dig. It's just the reality of it. You know, we have so much more capability than, you know, an at-home person does. But we also need to realize that, you know, anybody can buy, you can go to, well, I mean, you could go to Joann Fabrics, or you could go to, you know, anywhere, the Singer store, and buy an embroidery sewing machine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we had this conversation the other day with a friend of mine. She's a stay-at-home mom. I love her idea. She took onesies from her kids, and she made like mama shirts with, you know, the cut the onesie out, embroidered it, doing it at home. More power to her. That's awesome. You know, I sent somebody to her the other day because, you know, it's not something that we really specialize as. We have the capability of doing it, but it's just not our,
Right.
you know, our thing that we're doing right now. But, you know, there's so many other ways to go in the business, you know, that we can really take advantage of anything,
Right.
you know, and make whatever we want to make. And that's what creates, you know, or makes our industry so unique and our business so unique is somebody can reach out to us on social media and say, hey, my son's a water skier and he wants a shirt that says, I love hot show ski moms, or, you know, I love hot, you know, whatever. And, you know, we had that this year, and that became our #1 selling item.
Awesome.
A simple t-shirt that said, I love show ski moms, became, you know, a cult classic in the industry.
I don't care who you are. That's hilarious. And something to add that you mentioned with like the Cricut. I don't know if anybody's done the at home like vinyl cutting thing. It sucks. It's hard to do, and there's a process to do it right. And most of them don't. Very few of the regularly like at home available, Amazon available materials are worth the garbage. Yeah. They're junk. They really are. Yeah. We toyed around it. That was one of the reasons I bought the 32-inch cutter was let's try this, because everything I heard about the Cricuts was it's a 2-hour cut job. Anything is going to take forever on it because it's a slow moving, high precision, whatever. So I bought that 32-incher. I've done some very elaborate patterns on that thing, and it takes seconds, like seconds, the turnaround. It's like you said, pulling all the that's like you said, that's the killer.
Well, it's your product. It's the cutter itself is fine, but you're buying product in a 12-inch roll that's 2 inches around.
Right.
So that product is rolled up real tight. Now you want to roll it out flat to be able to cut it, you know, to pull it through the cutter. And then you want to now be able to press it on a shirt, and it, you know, you get wrinkles, you get, you know, whatever the case may be. So God bless those people that do it, because I don't have the patience for it.
Yeah, the ones that we've done, they don't hold up very well. They're good for like maybe if you can get 3 washings, it's an impressive stretch of time. Like this, like I said, this is an original shirt. This has got to be a 7-year-old shirt, 8-year-old shirt. I wear it. It's one of the shirts I wear to work all the time. Shockingly.
We have a shirt, and I haven't worn it in a minute. I'm going to have to get it out. We have a shirt that was one of the very first shirts that I made when we were across the street. That shirt's been washed at least 200 times.
Oh, yeah.
At least 200 times. And the shirt is super thin now. The graphic, still
on point.
Yeah, I mean, you can still read it, you can still tell what it is, but that's just a testament of the direct-to-garment printing process. Yeah. You know, we're embedding into the fabric and not onto the fabric. This is the difference between silkscreen and direct-to-garment. We're printing into the fabric on direct-to-garment. You're putting it on the fabric on silkscreen.
Right.
We don't have that rubbery feel. It's like it was
the
dyed.
T-shirt.
Yeah,
it's the T-shirt.
Yep, exactly.
And plus, you mentioned it earlier in passing. I don't know if you even caught that one, but you mentioned that Dana does reps. Like when you first did it, there were dozens and dozens, if not more, T-shirts getting tossed until you figured the process out. You buy that Cricut vinyl cutter that takes 20 minutes to cut a pattern. Then you got to strip it. Then you throw it on the, oh, crap, screwed it up.
Yep.
Start over.
Yep.
For, like you said, it takes 3 minutes basically top to bottom to do a shirt now.
Yep.
You can do a lot of reps until you figure it out. Yeah, you might waste material, but you can get the reps needed to get good at it, as opposed to you're doing that stuff at home with your hobby level equipment that may or may not have the right materials to do it well anyway. You're not going to get the reps just because, unless you're doing it full time, you don't have the hours in the day to be able to do 10 reps, especially with something that,
Well, there's a market for it. There's a market for that application. Like I said earlier, the mom that comes in on Thursday afternoon and her son's starting in his very first football game, there's just not time to, get a shirt done, if we have to order something or whatever. So the vinyl gives us that avenue to do it. We can have them stand right there and give me 10 minutes and it'll be done, or pick it up in the morning or whatever. But that person that's doing that also understands this isn't a shirt that I'm going to wear every day.
Right.
I'm going to wear it every Friday for 12 weeks, and then it's going to go in the closet, or dad's going to take it and use it as a car rag, or, whatever, or a business that's, giving the shirt away for a promotional event or something like that, but most of those are your Thursday night volleyball team shirts that you're using for one season and you're getting rid of.
And it's a bed shirt, or it's a dirt rag, or it's I'm painting the living room. Let's destroy this shirt.
Now there are some very high quality vinyls out there, that you would never know it's vinyl. There was a stretch vinyl that we used to use, and I loved it. The problem is it's only good for, like we were talking about, 10, 15 washings, and then it starts to crack and get brittle. The girls nowadays love the glitter. They love the glitter vinyl or the holographic vinyl or whatever. There's a market for that. There's a place for that. We're using that in a lot of different applications where we're using it in addition to direct to garment, or in addition to, an HTV, type transfer or something like that, where they want the glitter splash and we're adding the glitter to it. We're not solely doing, a vinyl shirt anymore. So
so parts of it if parts of it go bad, at least the majority of the shirt still looks good for ever. I mean, for all intents and purposes, forever.
Yep.
So then with you guys getting the ball rolling for your business, what was probably one of the hardest things to figure out? What are your biggest challenges then over the course of your existence now?
When we started, we had a lot of competition. It really we did. And it was, there were certain companies that had this market or this, don't try to get into this business because that's so-and-so's or whatever. So, it was finding our niche, finding our place in the town. We didn't go out hot and heavy and knock on doors and say, we're the new guy in town, we'll do it for $2 cheaper.
Right.
We went and knocked on a door and said, we're the new guy in town, this is what we're charging. And if we can do something for you, please let us know. If not, or we might make a shirt and say, here, this is what we made you, type thing.
Yeah.
But we were very fortunate too, in that as we started building a reputation and as we started kind of really learning what we wanted to be as a business, those companies that were already established were on the back ends of their careers. So Dana and I, we don't try to make enemies with anybody. Sure. We try to support everybody, whether it be the people down the street that are, a clothing store that want to start now doing something else. Fine, go for it. That's
100%.
There's plenty of business for everybody, or the person in 2 towns over that wants to do, go for it. Mm-hmm. That's fine. There's plenty of business for everybody. We're not going to be that person that comes in and says, our number one goal is to put you out of business.
Right.
There's not a place for that but as we started building that reputation and we started working with these other companies, they started coming to us and saying, hey, look, we're ready to get out. 1, are you interested in our equipment? And 2, here's our customer base. I think you would be a good fit to help this customer out. And once we did that, then we got the next person, then we got the next person, then we got the next person, and I said it as a joke when we opened. Rochelle's #1 stop for custom apparel. And it was kind of a joke, because that was obviously our goal. But we truly have become that one-stop shop. You know, we can do the promotional stuff. We can do the mom and pop one-off Friday football game shirt. We can, if you want to have an event, we can load up the trailer and come to your event and make custom hats or make whatever you want us to do. I mean, we have that capability now, but it's took us 8 years to get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were saying, competition is not, and this is something I harp on, and I've talked about this with a ton of businesses in town. Competition is not necessarily competition. A lot of times competition turns into awareness.
Yep.
Runnings here in town, we have a phenomenal relationship with their gun counter. There are services we provide that they don't. There are things that they can do that I just can't because of volume. They can cut prices on things that we can't. I send people to runnings all the time for certain pieces of equipment. Heck, even firearms and ammunition. Predominantly, I send ammunition to them. They just have more than I do, and it's stagnant money that I can't afford. That's not my business model. Is I cannot afford stagnant cash.
Yeah.
Trade-off is we put together discount cards that we dropped off over there and said, hey, do you mind putting one of these in every gun you sell? Yeah, absolutely, and they do it. They said, hey, they call me when they're running low on them. It's awesome. It's a great relationship. We offer 25% off of a class. It's 5% off of a firearm. There's a bunch of discount things that are available. Says, hey, just put that in every box. And all the time we'll have people coming, hey, the guys at the gun counter over at Runnings, they sent me to you. That's, yeah, absolutely. They don't do custom orders. If it's not on their shelf, they don't get it. They don't want it. Their transfers are more expensive. They don't want to, and they do that intentionally because they don't want to deal with it. And I get that completely because it's a whole nother thing of where did this come from? Who's it going to? Things come from bizarre places. We're a little cheaper than them. It's easy bread and butter for us. It just is. People come to the guys that work at Running do their transfers through us. We have an incredible relationship. There are so many more opportunities to build off of each other than there is to worry about stealing clientele.
Yep.
And I know you guys do the same thing that I do. I strive to be the absolute best at us. Nobody goes to Runnings for firearms training, concealed carry, SWAT, firearms experience. They don't. If they have questions, they come talk to us. We get to be that. They've got more affordable options that I typically won't carry, certain things based on quality, reputation, etc., that have better margins. They carry them for that purpose. We don't because we're a self-defense shop more than we're a firearms gun store. Like I said, the whole education thing, I don't stock things I don't trust. Will I order it for you? Absolutely. You come in and say, this is what I'm getting. My heart's set on it. No ifs, ands, or buts. Cool. I have no issues ordering that from you. You didn't ask my opinion. Don't care. But it's a good dynamic. And there's so many varieties just because, like you said, you found your niches in the custom world. We could have 10 other printing custom shops in town that all do different things that are completely unrelated. These guys want to have pre-printed inventory. They want to do comic book themes. They want to do yada yada. Cool. These guys want to make cheaper quality bulk purchase so it's easier for retailers that want to do bulk t-shirt purchases. Okay, cool. I sell my t-shirts for $20 on the shelf. It's tough to get a t-shirt and still make a good margin. Cool. They can make them for $6 a shirt because they're cheaper quality shirts, but sometimes that's what you need for basic swag stuff. You don't always need to have the high end, better quality stuff. There's always this room for more. If somebody opened another gun shop in Rochelle tomorrow, cool. I'll give them the suggestion. Get into used, get into older stuff, classic stuff, military stuff. You'll do a killing. There's a ton of people in this town that love that stuff. I don't have the knowledge base, and I don't have the time, effort, and history to be able to go finding those deals. That's how a lot of these retiree shops go. We could have that in Rochelle and we would both do very, very solid business. You don't need to be think competition means it's a bad thing. Your mutual competition can a lot of times increase both businesses. And when you figure out that there's a lot of ways that you can cooperate with each other, sky's the limit. I mean, there really is. But
Yeah.
a lot of people get scared that, oh, somebody else is in my line of work. They're itching into, my neck of the woods. Yeah, one, they're new. They're the new kids on the block. So, A, are they doing it as good as you are? And if they are doing it as good or better, then that requires some self-reflection in and of itself. And, second of all, whoop-de-doo. I mean, are they the same customer base? Because, like I said, if I got a guy who brings in classic firearms as opposed to new manufacturer self-defense oriented, our markets are drastically and hilariously different.
Yep.
Yes, it's the same industry. The process is the same, but they're different. They're drastically different organizations in how we function.
But you have customers that will come in, like for us, you have customers that come in, and the first thing they ask is, we're going to Disney. Can you do a Disney shirt for us? Or can you make me a Chicago Bears shirt, or the Cubs, or whatever the team is, the Packers, or, whatever it is. That's not our market.
Right.
One, there's licensing involved. Licensing costs money.
Yeah.
And when you pay the licensing, yes, it opens up another avenue, but it also lowers your bottom line too, because now you're paying something on top in your product and everything else. You look at the mall t-shirt shops. They have so much product. Well, there's a reason, because they need to do X amount and they need to buy X amount to carry those licenses, and that's just not the niche.
Right.
If another t-shirt shop were to come into Rochelle, I'm confident we would be just fine. It's not that we do it better or that we'll always do it better. I would love to see somebody come in with a new process that we don't do, that I could learn from, or that I could find a way to challenge myself to work around their advantage, because it's all about opportunity.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, the businesses that are coming into town, or the businesses that are in business to try to put somebody else out of business, the only reason they're doing that is because they know they can't do it as well, and it's,
Or they've gotten lazy about it and they're like, oh crap, now I actually have to.
right.
I'm not the only game in town anymore.
Right. Or I'm gonna bash the guy next door because I've messed up and I need to try. There's so many negatives that could go along with it, and I watched another podcast that kind of touched on that a little bit, and it was interesting because I do see some of that in our industry. I do see some of that in our community, and not just our business, but other businesses. There's a saying, there's too much of a good thing, but there's not enough of the bad thing, and it seems like the bad thing always keeps going. No matter how good you try to make it, there's always that one bad seed, So it is what it is, but what are you going to do?
Just keep trucking. I mean, that's all it comes down to. And we're back. Was this the same thing?
No, this was the... I don't remember what this one was.
It was Woodford Bitters.
Woodford Bitters, yeah, and then cherry.
Yep, cherry juice.
But I don't remember what the bourbon was.
We are a terrible bourbon podcast. I promise this will get better with practice.
We'll have to set the bottle on the table.
We should. I thought about that too. I was like, we should have that on display right here. Wait until we do the smoked old fashions. That'll come. That'll be coming up there. So the last thing that I wanted to talk about, we were kind of discussing this here off camera. If we were approached or talking to somebody that said that they wanted to start their own business, first and foremost, I guess this question is the first thing that needs to get asked is, would you say, yes, you should absolutely start a business? And whether the answer is yes or no, what is the first thing, the most important thing that they need to focus on right out of the gate? And then what is something that they need to pay attention to that's a trap that will get them into trouble? So those are the three things. So first and foremost, should they start a business?
Yes. I mean, they do call it the American dream. They never said if it's a good dream, bad dream, or nightmare,
And how long that dream lasts.
Yeah, exactly. But yes, absolutely. I've never been so satisfied in my life since we've opened our own business. And now, don't get me wrong, it has some challenges, and it's not for everybody. And, you know, we really came about it and have, up until this year, well, still really, for the most part, kind of approached it as, you know, for the first 7 years, 8 years, Dana and I both worked full-time jobs. We both had full-time jobs outside of the shop. Dana worked at the shop full-time, but she also had a full-time job. So that, you know, that was our kind of saving grace, I guess, because, you know, we didn't have to pay for the insurance. We didn't have to pay for the workers' comp. We didn't have to pay for all those other things that we had. Now that we're going into this on our own, Dana has since retired from her full-time job. I still work full-time, but honestly, I would love nothing more than to just work at the shop full-time, you know, and truly make it a mom and pop, you know, shop type atmosphere. Dana would probably kill me for saying that publicly, but
Can't wait to get her response to this video, by the way.
Exactly. Coming soon.
Film that. Like, hey, what do you think about this segment? That'll be in the blooper reel.
But it's definitely something that if somebody were to come to me and say, hey, Shane, you know, we really want to open XYZ business in Rochelle, you know, what do you suggest we do? First and foremost, I'm going to say do it. Second, I'm going to say, as a business owner, how can I help? Where are you struggling? What do you need? You know, what do you need help with? Because like we said at the beginning, there aren't a lot of resources. There's not a playbook. You know, every situation is going to be different. You know, whether or not you go into it renting from one of the, you know, business owner or one of the building owners in town, or you go into it as a true owner of a brick and mortar. You know, there's going to be different ways to approach that. There's different advantages and disadvantages. We've been on both sides of it. Obviously, now with us owning our own business, I don't know that I could ever go back to renting. I would if I had to, but the benefit of owning our own building is, you know, far outweighs the con of it for sure.
Oh, 100%. That's part of the reason, the only reason I've been able to make mine work in the industry that I am with such bad margins is I own my building. And I've got 2 renters. I've paid rent since day one, so I have paid rent since day one, but that level of stress to know that, shoot, if I have a thin month and I can't make rent, where am I going to be? Am I going to be here next month? So much nicer. If that's something that's feasible, I lucked out and was able to do that right out of the gate. You guys had to rent for a while, so like you said, you've been on both ends of that.
Yeah.
So
The other side of it would be don't overcommit yourself. Really know going in what you want out of it. You know, if you want it to be a full-time gig, you've got to put full-time time into it. You know, and full-time being you're going to be there 60, 65, 70 hours a week at first to really build that base. When we started, I don't know how many times I would get off work, especially, you know, I was at the new plant. So, you know, during outages, I'd get off work at, you know, 11 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would drive right past my house and come to the shop, and there'd be a list of things that Dana asked me to get done. You know, and I would sit in front of the computer at, you know, whatever hour it was, working away, then go home and sleep for 3, 4, 5 hours, then go back to work, and it's a sacrifice, you know. Or how many times you as a business owner, hey, do you want to go do this on this day? Oh, I can't. I got a rep coming in, or I've got to take inventory. I've got to, you know, there are sacrifices. So if you're not willing to give 100% of it, it might not be the right decision. Do it out of your home. You know, make it a hobby business, not a full-time business.
Yes, not my life is dependent on this business.
Right.
And then build it until you can retire and then make it a retirement business. I dig that. I love that completely. My 2 cents is absolutely start the business. Quitting your job, terrible idea. Don't do that. Coming from a guy, don't. Your level of stress is through the roof. I have the unique advantage of being a, you know, lifelong bachelor with no real responsibilities besides me and my dog. So I can live very efficiently, and by efficiently I mean like a poor person, to make things work. Absolutely, go out, start your business, all that good jazz. Find a mentor, like right along what you were saying with all of that. Find yourself somebody that you can ask questions, that will answer the phone, that will speed dial you. Whenever you your number one speed dial. Hey, I don't know how to do this. Hey, the health department showed up and they're saying that I can't do X, Y, and Z. What do I do? Mm-hmm. Cool. Have somebody that you can call immediately that will answer those questions. Yep. And not a city employee, not a knock on our city whatsoever, but if you have a question about something, ask somebody that's not going to rat you out and immediately go, oh, by the way, we have to shut you down because of X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. There's a safety issue, obviously do the right thing, but there's minor things that can get you hung up. We happen to be in a city where they so far seem to be very supportive of the businesses from that standpoint. I've never heard of them trying to shut anybody down for any reason. But there are communities out there that are very, very commie about how they run, like, all of that. Well, that's a violation. We have to shut you down until you get that taken care of. Find yourself a good mentor that knows those kind of issues and can answer them. Build those networks. Become friends with the other business owners, especially in the immediate area. That's going to be huge. The biggest thing that I'm going to warn anybody against is, you touched on it too with the whole 60 hours a week. If you are doing this full time and you decide, I'm going to take the plunge, I'm doing this. Your early years, if you think you're getting in and you can put in 8 to 4, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. You will not succeed if you think that you can get away with doing the work from 8 to 4, 40 hours a week. Everybody likes to joke when they talk to their business owner friends that aren't business owners. Oh, you make your own schedule. No, you don't. Well, the correct way is, my schedule is flexible to a degree. My customers come when my customers come. That's an unavoidable fact. I can't do anything with that. I know what hours people show up to my business. We're open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. now, because we get a ton of people that come through from 5 to 6 p.m. Sometimes we're hopping. I'll stay open till 7. That's when my clientele comes in. I don't get to have the 9 to 5, the 8 to 4, and then go home and be like, okay, I can have my evening to myself. That doesn't exist in my retail world, because I run, when you whittle it down to its basic characteristic, I am in a luxury good retail business. Mm-hmm. It is a luxury goods store, which means the only people that can afford my product have freaking jobs. Mm-hmm. I can't plan around the nuke plant. I'm on overnights, guys, but there's a ton of people that make good money that work. Hey, I work 9 to 5. I get off work at 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Could you be open till at least 6 so I can get off of work, come, in my case, pick up my firearm, buy something, window shop, whatever. I have regular customers that come in right at 5:30 or 6 o'clock, and they come in and just kind of hang out and jaw jack. Cool. Love that. All about it. I want that community environment in my store, but that's how that is. And there are days, more than a few, you can ask my roommate, I will be out of the house before my roommate will leave for work. He leaves for work at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. There are days when I am out and I am at my store at 4 o'clock in the morning, because I know, crap, I have to do social media. I have to do a LinkedIn post. I've got to set up my Facebook. I've got to set up MailChimp and send out an email. I've got 75 people to call. Oh, crap, it's retail tax time this month, so I've got to sit down and do all of that, because that's always a couple-hour experience. I need to do my alarm thing. I have to do an audit. I have to do whatever. I don't think I've ever, and let's not forget, you still need to learn how to do more. I'm always doing business education classes with, Sauk Valley or DeKalb Chamber or Rochelle's Chamber. If there's an education class, I kind of jump into it. Plus all the networking opportunities. If you're not out in the community, you're not making money.
Mm-hmm. You have to know your clientele. Yes. You have to know your business. Our business is more, I call it service retail. Mm-hmm. We're a service, we're an industry basically. We're creating a product for the end user. So our hours are a little bit different than, say, a true retail.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that, we're not there till 6, 7 o'clock at night because, hey, so-and-so needs to come in and they can't get here until 6:45 and they really need to pick up whatever it is. Or, Mike from Cops is calling at 7 o'clock at night while we're at home, and saying, hey, Dana, can you be at the shop at 7:45 tomorrow because I need to drop some stuff off? Never, not once has Dana ever said no.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody off the street were to call and say, hey, I can't be there until X amount of time, there's not one time where we've said, well, sorry, we're not going to be there for you, because that's the business we're in.
Yes.
You're more of a retail-oriented business on the front side of it.
Yep.
But the backside, you're, hey, I've got to have a class at 7 o'clock tonight, or I'm going to have 2 classes, one from 5 to 7, the other one from 7 to 9, because that's what the clientele asks for.
And window shopping is important. People come in to just see what I have to make purchases.
Yep.
Like you said, you're on the service, the creation of the product that they're requesting. They can send that via email, via phone call,
Correct.
via whatever, and you guys are always available for all of that.
Yep.
I can't psychically show people what my inventory is.
Right.
They have to set foot in my business when they're available to buy anything.
Yep.
I think that's something that a lot of people who start businesses, it's definitely a huge pitfall, is that a lot of people start businesses thinking, I can make my own hours. You can adjust your own hours. So if you really need Tuesdays, cool, you can be closed Tuesdays and make it up at somewhere else in the week. But you still need to put in the 60 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I will rarely have a week that's less than 60 hours of labor of some kind that's related to downrange. It just doesn't happen. And now that I've got the new building going on because we're changing locations, I don't have. The last time I had a 40-hour work week is bonkers. I don't know what that means. I don't understand the concept. It's, oh yeah, I'm up early, cool. Let's go to the shop, get caught up on paperwork, or let's come in here and do grinding, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go here and do this. There's always something going on. Cool, I was at the shop at 4 a.m. because shit needed to get done. Awesome until, oh, by the way, there's a networking event at 7 p.m. that I have to go to because I'm meeting with these 3 new people. Cool, I'm at that till 10 o'clock. So my day goes from 4 a.m. till 10 p.m. It happens more often than people realize.
Owning your own business is not for everybody.
No.
But there's something in it for everybody.
Yes.
Owning your own business is, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know a lot of business owners that their life is their business. My feeling on that is, my business is a part of my life. It doesn't define who I am. But at the same time, it is what makes the world go round. Mm-hmm. It is what puts food on the table. It is what, and I think that's what a lot of people outside of business ownership don't understand is it's, people like us, people like every small business in this town, every pizza place in this town, every bar in this town, you see their name on somebody's kid's t-shirt at some time or another. And we may not put our name on a lot of people's t-shirts, but we put our effort and our work into a lot of people's t-shirts. And there's a lot of money that goes out our business that goes back into the community that people don't realize and that we don't advertise because that's not what it's about.
Right.
We're a small town with a lot of good people.
I agree with that 1,000%. 1,000%. And giving back is a huge, and not just for name recognition, giving back is just important, period, because you're a good person and you're a member of that.
And it doesn't have to be money. It can be product. It can be,
It can be labor.
Labor, exactly.
I will volunteer for anything people ask for. I will happily volunteer to throw my name in the hat. Thank God my staff is just as are some amazing people because I volunteer them for stuff all the time, and they're all great sports about it. But that's what you should be doing. You want them to support you. You should be wanting to support them because you want them to be successful. They're going to want you to be successful.
Exactly.
It pays in dividends.
Well, let's talk about what's next. What's coming up? What's next in your business? What's next in our business? What's next on the podcast?
Ooh, all good things. Next in business, we've got a sniper school in October. The building, I guess technically it's a different business, but getting the new business set up where I will have a name picked out by tomorrow. It's going to have a very John Wick theme to the building. There's a bunch of stuff I can't talk about publicly yet, but this building is going to be freaking cool when it's done. Every asset that we're going to have in here is going to be great. It's the old bank, 422 Cherry. It's getting renovated as we speak. HVAC got hooked up today. We just got to get power gone to it. But this is going to be the new location, all the cool stuff that's going on here. If any of you awesome people that are watching this, and I'm sure there's lots of you, come rent out the podcast room. We're all set up. We're audio hooked up, video hooked up, the whole shebang. It's very easy and simple to use. Has all the resources you need. All you got to do is burn it onto a USB drive and upload it at home. So it's kind of a full service kind of a operation. That's going to get better by the day. But yeah, that's kind of sucking my life dry. But once it's done, it's nice because it's cash flow, because that's the other part of the business is the real estate side of it is. Once this is done, this will cash flow a nice chunk to the point that I can breathe a little bit more, and because I will have regular income that doesn't require me to do anything day to day, which will be nice. But all right, 926, what's new and on the immediate horizon?
Transitions. That's the word of the rest of the year, I think. We're transitioning from the water ski season now into the football season, and then the winter sports season. On top of that, like I mentioned earlier, Dana and I are taking over full-time, sole owners of the business. Our business partners, Jay and Heidi, are retiring to Arizona, so good luck to them.
Congratulations to them.
They're hooking up the fifth wheel and heading west. I don't envy them whatsoever, because I couldn't imagine driving that far. But
the fifth wheel.
They love it, so more power to them, and they'll enjoy it. But yeah, so we're doing that. Big things. There's some things coming that we also can't talk about. That we're pretty excited about, and we actually stumbled upon a couple things today. So stay tuned, because big things are coming to 926 in the community. So
I love it.
But yeah, I mean, the podcast is the first episode, so we hope we didn't bore you too much.
Oh yeah, this is new. We totally forgot to just mention that.
Yeah.
We're stoked about doing this.
Yeah, this how'd this come about? Oh, you posted this, and I said we should do a podcast.
Yes.
And I have some friends in the water ski industry that have been running a very successful podcast for the last couple of years, and it's always been something that I've wanted to do. Those that know me outside of this know I love to talk, so it's good.
Same.
But as we grow in this, we're going to bring on some special guests.
Yes.
We've got a few lined up. First off, I'll let the cat out of the bag. First off is my lovely wife, who hates being on camera, but
because of that, I'm stuck with this guy. Just
Yes.
for the record, I was perfectly content doing this with Dana, but no.
She did agree, so we're going to give her 30 minutes to talk about being a woman business owner. We're going to give her 30 minutes to talk about her dogs. She might mention her husband. Probably not.
You're going to be sitting next to her, so.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Her throne, isn't it? She's got a throne she gets to sit on.
She does have the throne.
She gets
Being
throne.
an empty nester.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're empty nesters as of 3 weeks from today. So, yeah, so that'll be exciting, and we'll talk about some more business stuff. But yeah, we've got some other guests coming. The goal is to talk about business. How to become a better business owner, how to become a business owner, how to become a better steward in your community, which is why we have the becoming, or what do we say, business, bourbon, and becoming. And we may touch on some other things outside of business.
Oh yeah.
Mental health is a big thing. My sister-in-law owns a counseling center, and we may have her on here. Who knows? Stay tuned.
What you're supposed to do if you are like me and you live and breathe your business, how do you disconnect? Because I have hobbies. I have a mandatory hobby that requires me to not think about this business at all, because if I don't, I will go crazy and my productivity goes through the floor. We'll talk about stuff like that on this at some point in the future. And a lot of focus, at least initially for sure, a lot of local focus, I think, is the goal, because we like our community. We live here. We've lived here for a lot of years now. We want to see it continue to grow and thrive and bring people together. And I think this is a great venue to be able to do that. And as we bring other businesses in, and business owners and government officials and everybody in between that might have something relevant to say, it gives us an opportunity to kind of really build a foundation that could be very, very good for this little town of ours.
And if there's somebody that you would like us to talk to, shoot us an email. charredoak@gmail.com, right?
I think so.
I think it is.
Yeah. Or this is on YouTube. If you're watching on there, just throw it in comments.
There you go.
That would be good. Throw it in the comments for sure.
Is that down here?
I'm not even going to I'm not even putting the glyph in there, by the way. It's just our hands going up and down. Comments, the email. We'll have all that stuff linked in the comment section. So in the description, I'll throw in the email. I'll throw in all that stuff. There's a website coming as well. Next week, or we're shooting for every 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I think we're shooting for every 2 weeks. So whenever we get those aired, we'll get that one rolling. So I'm hopefully going to get this one up in the next couple of days. There's no reason I shouldn't be able to get it up tomorrow, assuming we get the updated intro. Expect this. Like you said, if there's stuff that you would like to hear, if you would want to be on it and you have something to talk about, same thing. Send us a note, get us hooked up, and we'd love to bring you in and add guests and keep this a rolling. So, got anything else?
I do not.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, that is going to watch or is watching. Thank you for tuning in. Shane, I appreciate you coming up with this idea and us being hip deep in it now. And the backdrop will get better, I promise. It's not just going to be the blank white wall. I promise it will get better with time. Just subscribe so, it justifies the expense.
Yes, exactly. We made it through the first one.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That's it. I'm good.
Yep.